here we are once again. Welcome, everybody. Cannabis News with Joe Klare. It is January 15th, 2019. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out, marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org. There you will find the show. You can also search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts to get the audio-only version of the show. Today, we're talking about Massachusetts, Minnesota, and Michigan. Also talking a little bit about social use, cannabis cafes, cannabis clubs, whatever you want to call them. And also in the Minnesota story, possible attempt at legalization, full-on recreational legalization in Minnesota. Before we get to all of that, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use banned pesticides. Don't use harmful chemicals on what you are growing. No matter what you are growing, you can accomplish all of these things with Natureside. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of the show. They are awesome. Go check them out. Natureside. Thank you to them. This first story by Jason Sander over marijuanatimes.org. Massachusetts could see cannabis cafes in the near future. Cannabis enthusiasts in Massachusetts could soon be given the option to legally consume the plant in public in cafes and lounges after the State Advisory Board's Public Safety Subcommittee voted to recommend such activities be legalized, according to NBC Boston. The measure to recommend legal social consumption spaces passed by a 5-2 vote. The same board also unanimously voted to allow legal home delivery of cannabis products. And obviously, intrinsically, stories like this are interesting and they're important to the overall forward movement of cannabis legalization, because when you sit down and you think of what will cannabis legalization when it's quote unquote fully legal. You know, we think of alcohol right now as pretty much as fully legal as it's going to get. I mean, you can go to your grocery store and there are 45 different kinds of alcohol in every flavor you can imagine. You can go to a liquor store, you can get something that's 180 proof. I mean, it's not full pure grain alcohol, but let's face it, it's pretty close. If you're playing horseshoes and you got that close, you'd be like, I think I'm going to win this round. If you've ever drank Everclear, it's pretty close. In any case, when you think about legal cannabis and what it's going to look like in the future, you think like sales. You can go somewhere and buy it. Grow at home. You can grow your own, whatever it's going to be, 4, 6, 8, 12 plants. Hopefully, I'm hoping for the higher numbers, especially when it comes to possession, home growing, those type of things. The least restrictions possible is what I'm in favor of. In any case, you're going to have sales, you're going to have home growing, you're going to have sharing, you're going to have public consumption, at least in places that would be the equivalent of what bars are for those who drink alcohol. Well, I mean, you can get a margarita at Applebee's. I mean, it's, there's got to be places and social clubs, lounges, whatever you want to call it, that is going to allow people to use cannabis in that manner. Obviously, home delivery, another aspect of what you would think would come with the quote-unquote, the term legal, fully legal cannabis, fully legal recreational cannabis, when all is said and done, and we've got it as far along as we can and as far along as it's going to get. Those are some of the things that you would want to look for. So anything that gets us to those things, obviously, is good. So that's great what's going on in Massachusetts. Hopefully, it continues on down the bureaucratic wormhole and becomes something that is actually something that the cannabis consumers in Massachusetts can take advantage of. This next story is from bringmethenews.com. Don't mind if I do. Group launches nonprofit aimed at legalizing recreational pot in Minnesota. That's right. Consider the movement to legalize recreational pot in Minnesota officially underway with the launch of a new political nonprofit aimed at making legal weed a reality in the state. The organization, called Minnesotans for Responsible Marijuana Regulation, or MRMR, Mr., if you will, introduced itself I don't know if that's how they want to be characterized. It's easy to remember, Mr. Mister in Minnesota. They had 2 Facebook posts saying it was seeking to responsibly regulate and legalize marijuana for adult recreational use. The group says it is working to inform and engage their fellow Minnesotans, Minnesota state legislators, and other Minnesota policy makers about the issues surrounding legalized recreational pot. The Star Tribune notes Mr. MRMR counts some high-profile citizens among its members, including Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. So we were talking politics in Minnesota. That is a pretty big name, a high-profile citizen, as they say. So efforts underway in Minnesota. Everywhere, whether it's the state level, the local level, and the federal Congress, you have to continue to advance the agenda. You have to continue to advance the movement. You have to continue the momentum. You have to keep moving forward. And that is something that activists, especially in the cannabis community, learned long ago, which is one of the major pillars of success. Other things obviously came into being, the most important, of course, being the internet and being able to harness the power of the internet to bring you shows like this. Not that I'm responsible for legalized marijuana, but if you want to give me credit for it, I won't throw it away. I will keep it. But there's been decades and decades of people who have sacrificed for this movement, and it got us to where we are. And it's amazing. The success has been amazing, and we have to keep pushing forward because now is the time. It's not always going to be an issue that people care about. So we have to strike while the iron is hot, as they say. This last story from mlive.com in Michigan also involves social use, cannabis clubs, if you will. Kalamazoo Brewery to offer private cannabis clubs. Mark Rupert, you see there, owns Rupert's Brew House. He wants to change the fact that you can't go in somewhere and an area that's not a private residence. You can't do that yet in Michigan. He wants to change that. Of course, in November, voters approved a measure legalizing recreational use of marijuana in the state of Michigan. The law does not allow the use of drugs in public places. Rupert plans to close his downtown Kalamazoo brewery periodically to hold private events where individuals be invited inside to smoke or consume marijuana products. During private events not open to the general public, Rupert's Brew House will turn into the cooperative. The events will offer a private setting for adults to bring their own marijuana to consume while hanging out with like-minded people and sharing marijuana knowledge and products with each other, Rupert said. There are not a lot of places that are welcoming to the new idea of cannabis being recreational, Rupert said. I think it's important for the community to have a place where they can feel comfortable talking about cultivation or the culture of cannabis on top of everything we already do with craft beer. Everything I said about, social use clubs and the like when it comes to Massachusetts goes here as well. It's an obvious evolution of what's going on. If this guy owns a business and he wants to have a private event where people use cannabis, I don't see how that's the business of anyone. He owns his business. He's not bringing people in to do human sacrifices. Okay, they're not human trafficking. These people are coming in to consume cannabis. It's not a big deal. And one day it won't be a big deal. And one day we'll look back to when it was a big deal and be like, that was weird. Why do we do that? What was that? I don't know. I look on it now. I think to myself, why? 100 years from now, people will be watching this video of me, because obviously, digital stuff will last as long as we do, and hear me talking about these things and think it's so weird. It's so weird. He was talking about cannabis being illegal, and they were fighting to open like social cannabis clubs. There's one guy owned a brewery, and he just want to have some people come, and use cannabis, and you generate a whole news story about the thing. And I don't know. I mean, all I can say to you people watching and listening 100 years from now, you're right. It's weird. It's so weird. It is completely and utterly not logical that cannabis ever became prohibited in the first place, and we have to fight so hard to strip away all that prohibition. But we do it anyway. What else did I have to do today? This is it. I can take a little time to do this. It's fine. I manage my time very well. Thank you. It's another episode of Cannabis News. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Of course, check out the Marijuana Times, marijuanatimes.org. Great articles, great writers, social media links. This show on the video tab. Click that. It's awesome. We're awesome. You're awesome. Thanks for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.